All right, take two. Welcome everybody to Trade Talks Midweek Review on July 14th. This is the pup. And I say we just start going right into it. So if you have any questions or any chart requests, just put it into the chat now. And as soon as I finish going over what I'm going to go over, we'll get to that. So let's just take a quick look at Flow. Flow has this new version 2 of their power alerts, just released a couple of hours ago. So I was taking a look at it. It's pretty cool. You can see like this power alert here at Atos. Stock is up 4.5% since the call, and it gives you largest orders of today, the relative strength of the call for spot price, the alerts over the last 5 days, and where a stock is relative to when the power alert was called. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Going to be playing around with that. You can see a lot of SPY puts coming in after hours here. On Flow, it's always on the ask side, so you don't get the full breadth of the data for put and call flow, but they only show the ask side of the flow. So let's take a quick look at the flow overview. No surprises here. Apple had the most bullish flow. Really strong day today. Tesla was in second. Don't know why. I mean, it's just Tesla's Tesla. Bearish flow, IWM, small caps definitely got hit today. AMC, Apple, of course, just the sheer volume. You're going to be up there. Top sector usually is technology for the most part on any given day. And certainly Apple and IWM were the most active tickers premium-wise for today. Nothing really to note here on unusual volume. We're not going to look at chart analysis, but that's kind of what I'm seeing so far on the. Let's take this over on the call flow. So let's jump to the daily chart. I'm going to run a couple of scans, some of the scans that I normally run at the end of the day. Let's just see if there were any RSI breakouts today. I highly doubt it. Couple probably. Here we go. GLD. So gold, not a surprise there. Nice gap up hammer candle there. Looks like it. It looks like it just about closed this gap down here, but not really too surprised about that. And then Groupon had an RSI breakout here, so looks like it's testing the top of this channel, but just not really something that I necessarily trade. I do have one other watch list that I look at. See if any scans generate from this. Doesn't look like there are going to be any here. It's thinking hard. It's really searching, trying to find something, anything, and nothing. All right, so let's look at see if any TTM squeezes fired off today. Probably some, mostly probably to the downside. Let's take a look at Riot. So it looks like Riot rejected from this falling wedge. TTM squeeze fired to the downside. So Riot looking good to the downside. Uber also fired, likely to the downside as well. This would be something I would watch, possibly under 46.57. So this could be a potential short candidate for tomorrow. Let me grab my pen. I'll write that down. I'll get a short play listed up for tomorrow. Bear with me. So we got Uber. So this could be a good short play, maybe shorts out to next week. STAA also fired to the downside, lost to 50 on RSI. By the way, I believe pockets you took or you were looking at puts on Uber. If you took it, congrats. If you're going to take it, I think tomorrow might be good. But here we go. STAA, we are in a rising channel. We're coming into channel support and the 21 weekly moving average, but RSI did fail at 50, and we are getting a TTM squeeze firing potentially to the downside. So watch STAA tomorrow for a potential break below 123, 125, sorry, 128.23. Why that number? Because that was our high back here. And you can see when we tested it here, we broke out and then failed, broke out again and then failed, and then broke out again. And now we're back testing that breakout. So 128.23 is an important level to hold for STAA. Next one is OTRK. Not really interested in this. Yeah, it's just it's an ugly chart. A lot of consolidation after this breakdown, squeezes, but not really interested in that. W, I know this started to break down today. Let me just get a trend line. I think it's on a different time frame, but yeah, look at the breakdown here. TTM squeeze firing to the downside. Guess what's going on the list for tomorrow? Wayfair to the downside. Let's go. Next up is PNTG. Another one failed at 50 on the RSI, failed breaking over the 21 weekly moving average. Looks like it is coming into a potential demand zone. Let me get my volume correctly situated here. So we've actually lost that volume shelf right here. So I would look for this to come down to possibly $33, maybe a double bottom test down here. So PNTG tomorrow to the downside. And let's look at PGNY. Falling wedge, RSI broke down, TTM squeeze fire to the downside. So let me just double check this. So we're right on that trend line. We're right on the trend line. We're right at the 21 weekly moving average. I think this is also very shortable under, let's see, I would say under 54.50. So I'll add PGNY to the short list for tomorrow as well. Let me double check one more. Watch list here. Ooh, we got lots of ones hidden here. We got Frog. Haven't heard about Frog in a while. Haven't charted this in a long time. Failed at 50 on RSI. 2-dot squeeze firing. I'm going to just clear all this noise out. It's meaningless at the moment. Frog, look like we can go short under 42.08 and then target possibly $33. I mean, probably will hit $40 first, but this also looks like a decent short tomorrow. APPH, App Harvest. I always, for some reason, thought that this was a pot stock, but it's actually a indoor grow stock, if I'm not mistaken. I think they do tomatoes. So failed at 50 RSI and 1-dot squeeze fired. Looks like it's coming down. Got a falling wedge here. So looks like it's already starting to break down of this wedge. So, possible target would be somewhere over here around $10, just about $11 on APPH. Okay, next up is NLS, Nautilus. So Peloton was getting hit, so it looks like Nautilus is following suit. It's already got rejected multiple times off this 21 weekly moving average. Rejected off of 50 on RSI, squeeze, looks like it wants to fire to the downside. I don't see much risk reward here. However, I would say if we get below $14, then I think you could probably take this short, maybe down to $11, give or take. So NLS to the downside. GoGo, haven't seen this one in a while. A lot of these, high growth names are just out of vogue right now. Squeeze to the downside, lost 50 on RSI, MRNS, lost 50, squeeze to the downside. AQUA, lost 50, squeeze to the downside. I would say target that 21 weekly moving average right at $30. And MasterCard, is this MA? Yep. Meme, hey, we got a squeeze to the upside. All right. So look at MasterCard here, right? Came right down to the 50 side. We bounced. We've got a 1 dot squeeze fire today on the daily. Look at how it's been holding the 21 weekly moving average here. Really nice support. And now we're right back to this 1272 extension at 390.61. Looks like we closed over it today. So if we hold this 390.61 level, then in time, I do think MasterCard will go to 400, which is this high right here, and then possibly 420, which is this 1618 extension over here. So let's put down for the buy side, we got one, MasterCard. All right. Okay. Any questions so far over anything I went over or anything outside of what I went over? I'm just going to go through my weekly watch list. Actually, let's go through my day trade list. Where are you? Day trade ideas. Okay. Actually, yeah. And then let's go. What I've been liking lately is going down to the 2-hour time frame. Gives me more candles to look at. So Twitter's actually a good one to start with. I did take Twitter for a trade this morning. It was a nice quick trade, maybe 30, 40-minute trade. We do have earnings coming up next week. So I figured pre-earnings run might be a little bit of a catalyst. And you could see we did gap up today. I'll zoom in a little bit and broke my trigger entry of 70.88. We rode this up to $72. I did take the 72 calls and exited pretty much into this move up here. And then when, I think Powell was speaking right before, that's why one of the reasons why I exited early, besides it was just coming right back down. So I wanted to just take quick trades this morning. That was always my plan going in. Can't stress enough how important it is to have a plan going into each day, knowing what stocks you're going to be watching, what levels are going to be your triggers, what contracts you're going to take if you're playing options, and where you're going to start scaling out of your position. You could use real levels, like for instance with Twitter, let's say when it hit $71, I was going to scale out a little bit, or you can use percentages. So for me, I like to do 25, 50, 75, and 100% on my contracts. But having said that, when we have exogenous events like a Fed talk or CPI or anything along those lines, I always adjust my strategy according to what the market is going to potentially do. And so during these days where you have a Fed talk or CPI data or bond data, or things just don't look right, the market is acting funny, I'll start scaling out quicker. So rather than 25, 50, 75, 100%, quarter, I'll tend to scale out faster. So maybe I'll take my first lot off at 10% or 15% at max. And then I'll scale out some more at 30%, then some more at 40%. And usually during days like this, I'm out of a trade at 50%. That's generally my rule. And I think Twitter went to about 52%. There were a couple of other trades I took this morning. I think TSM was another one. Now might have been another one. LRCX was a really good trade this morning. So, when you have days like this, you have to be able to adjust your strategy. And I saw a tweet from my friend Brian Shannon at Alpha Trends, and it was something to the effect of it's it's really difficult to find high probability, low risk trades these days. And he's absolutely right. Brian's been at this much longer than I have. So I always look to these market veterans for insight on days like this. But, when you have low probability setups and not a lot of, high probability setups, it's you either don't trade, and sit on your hands, or if you take trades, you scale out quicker and you play with smaller size. That will keep you in the game 100% of the time. If you're going to take a loss, you take a smaller loss. If your trade goes against you, it's not a big size, so it shouldn't hurt your overall account. Days like these, and even weeks like these last couple of weeks, is really all about account management and risk management. These are the days and the weeks that we need to monitor our accounts, monitor our trades. If we have longs on, maybe have short-term hedges. Um, these are the things that are going to keep you in the game longer. And there's always going to be greener pastures ahead. There's always going to be better days to trade. The tough part about trading is being patient and waiting for those setups to come. All right, so with Twitter, I talked about that. Now has really been struggling with 566. I've been scalping above 566, but it's not a great trade right now until we get a close over 566. And you can see here, back, I think on Friday, we broke out, or maybe this was Monday, we broke out and we failed. And each day, no closes over 566.35. So I am waiting for that wave 5. I do think it's coming, and one of these days, one of my scalps is going to turn into a swing trade. But until then, happy to just take these quicker trades. TSM, kind of the same story. You could see how we're actually flagging right now on TSM. So you have a nice flag you could see setting up here, right? And so we're right now at the bottom of the flag. Nothing wrong with the trade right now. RSI broke out down here. RSI broke out here. The only little bit concerned is the squeeze momentum is starting to roll over. So you can see when squeeze momentum starts to roll over, look what happens to the trade. It starts to move back down. And so I want to see squeeze momentum start to push higher. But it does look a little extended. It might need to come into this daily or the 2-hour 8 EMA, maybe even come back down to the 21 EMA, or even back test this breakout level here at 122. But I do see this coming into a wave 3 at maybe about 130, and then having a wave 4 pullback before we make our eventual wave 5 of 3 up to possibly 140. TSM earnings tomorrow before market. Thank you very much. That would be possibly a catalyst. So I think what it might be important about TSM earnings tomorrow. So obviously Taiwan Semiconductor, they are a semi. They're going to have an effect on the rest of the semiconductor market. So AMD, NVIDIA, LRCX. If you're in any of those positions, you do need to be conscious when a like stock in the same sector has earnings. So let's watch what happens with TSM earnings. I think that could be a precursor to what the rest of the semiconductor earnings might look like. Okay, so thanks for the shout out on that iPhone. Next up is OZON. I did have a short set up for this at 53.50. It did not get there. So it looks like this might be an inside day. So I'm going to probably change my trigger tomorrow because I do like this short. It's not letting me because I think there's an alert on here. But I think we might be able to take a short under 53.89. But I'll double check that. I'm going to put it back on my short list for tomorrow. And then LRCX. This was a really nice trade this morning. So this is why I stress if you're going to take a day trade, especially in this environment, you got to scale out, right? We broke our entry at 629.75 first thing in the morning. I think first target was around 640. We were in the 640 calls. These hit about 60% on this morning move, and then it just flushed right back down. So, the only good thing about this is that we're going to get another opportunity on LRCX. Looks like earnings are on the 28th. So, yeah, JD has been showing a little bit of strength here. I do have JD potentially in wave 3. We might have a shorter wave 3. I'd have to just wait and see how this all plays out. But RSI is looking pretty good. Chinese stocks are looking pretty decent. I think BABA was kind of in the same boat. Yep, so BABA also nice little move up. So, we'll keep an eye on the Chinese stocks right now. They are bucking the trend, relatively speaking. And that's really all that I saw strength in. Space got creamed. Uh, let's even look at from a wave perspective. Did we violate this low? We did. So there is definitely something else going on here with space. So I'm just going to remove all of this and we're going to revisit space at another time. Definitely something else going on relative to what I had. But look how oversold we are here on the 2-hour. Want to see this close back over the 21 weekly moving average. You could see once we broke over here, we came back and back tested that 21 and then we came right back up. So this certainly looks like some sort of ABC corrective wave, but I want to let this settle in a little bit before I go back to charting this. Beyond, caught a nice put, multiple 100% winner on this put entry at 132.13. I actually took the entry a little early. I actually took it on the breakdown of this low right here. And my plan was to probably take profit here into 132.13 unless it continued to sell off, and it actually did. And then I closed out the trade, I think around 128, 128.50. I did leave a runner on, and then I rolled up to the 125 puts for this week before the close of the day. So Beyond looks like it might fall some more. I'm going to want to watch it and see what it does. Peloton had news. It got hit pretty hard. But relatively speaking, if we are in our wave 1-2-1-2, being the 1-2 of wave 3, which you will see potentially up here, right up here, it's still, considering where we are, it's still looking okay. We did lose our 1-2 channel, so I don't like that, but we're holding right on the 21 weekly moving average, and we're holding the 618 retracement from wave 1 and 2 here. So basically this retracement from this leg right here. So as long as we hold over 112.29, Peloton can reverse and start moving back up. So I'm going to keep a closer eye on Peloton. I did mention last week snow. I did say with snow, there is a distinct possibility that we hit 275 and then get rejected and come back down and test 254. That's exactly what we did. In fact, we lost 254. So it's into the 55 EMA cloud here on the 2-hour. We did lose 50 on the RSI, and the squeeze momentum has rolled over on the 2-hour. So I'm going to have to take a look at these wave counts because it looks like it may have violated wave 1 here. So I'll revisit this count later tonight and see where we're at. There might be something else going on here. So, I mean, that's really all I'm seeing right now off the bat relative to the stocks that I'm watching. As you all know, my process, every weekend, I'll look at possibly 20 to 30 stocks. I'll add them to my watch list. I come up with loose plans, but then once Monday morning comes, I'm scanning, I'm looking to see what my stocks are doing. And I've also adjusted my style and evolved my style, so to speak, of alerts. So now basically what I'm going to be doing is finding 4 to 6 solid trade ideas, whether they're calls, puts, or a mix of both, and offering, this is the trigger, these are our targets, these are the contracts we're going to take potentially if you are doing options, and then attack the market that way. So far, so good. For me, it's worked pretty well. It is a little more work on my side, but it's also helped me identify stocks that maybe I necessarily wouldn't trade. Like I normally wouldn't trade a Twitter or an LRCX or even a TSM for that matter. So I think while we're seeing tech stocks stutter a bit and now potentially coming down, I think what we have to start looking for is where is the relative strength in the market? And that's really what my eye is going to be going to. But it's, again, changing my strategy in terms of just taking quicker either scalps or faster day trades in the morning, and then sitting on my hands the rest of the day and watching and observing the market and watching and observing price action, because that's all we can really do. We have to sit in our hands and wait for these ideal opportunities to present themselves. Okay, so any questions, comments, concerns? Tesla, absolutely. Let's take a quick look at Tesla. So let's see. I don't really have a wave count, so to speak, for Tesla. Let me just remove all of this. I could start from scratch. So this certainly looks like an ABC retracement. This would be a flat, right? Almost like a double bottom, and potentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, how can we find out if this is accurate? Well, actually, right off the bat, 4 has violated wave 1, so that can't be right. So wave 4 cannot come into the space of wave 1. This could still be wave 3. So actually, that can be right. Let me go back to that. So if we have a 1, 2, 3, 3 is probably going to be higher. So we would do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what we might be working on here is a 5-wave move in wave 3. And so what we would do there is we would say, all right, well, if this is wave 3 right here, then this is wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 would end up somewhere over there. And so how we check that is, let's see, wave 1, 2. So we want to make sure that, let's see here. So you can see it came right down to that 618. So that looks pretty good. We bounced. Let's do the 1, 2 here. Came into that 618 again. So that looks pretty good. And wave 2 and 4. This looks like a deep corrective 4 here. So that's 4, the top right there. This one looks like it might have come down to the 786. Right, let's see. Beautiful, right there, right on that 786. So far, so good. This does look like we're in potentially wave 5 of 3. What I would want to see where we're wrong, if we get down below 621, then there's obviously something else going on. But if we are in wave 4, wave 4 is usually let's say like a triangle, or it also can be an ABC correction. So we could see something like A, B, C, right? And since this would be wave 5 here, what I'd be looking for is something like this, where we have another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something along those lines. And let's say, you see we have the 21 weekly moving average that in the past it has acted as support and resistance. So what I want to see is on this wave, potentially wave 2 pullback, where are my fibs? And so that's what I'm going to look at right now. And you can see that we violated the 50% retracement, but we're still over the 61.8% retracement here, which aligns really nicely with this 21 weekly moving average. So I think watch for 648.76. That's a 618 retracement to the downside. However, I do have a level on Tesla at 645. So I would watch 645 for a bounce potentially tomorrow or the next day, or even a bounce right here at 648. That's what I'm looking at right now, based on the waves. So let me know if that answers your question. Any particular PLTR leaps? No, I'm going to wait for PLTR to potentially bottom. Let's take a quick look at the 2-hour chart. So yeah, we're potentially coming into the 618 at $21. So I want to wait. If I'm going to buy leaps, then I'm going to wait for this to bottom and start turning back up. I would probably look at leaps if we broke $24, somewhere around there. Then I would start looking at leaps, but not before then, because we don't know if the downtrend has finished or not. Okay, Zeus, no problem. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions on Tesla. I think the jury is still out. You know, not TLSA, TSLA. I think the jury's still out. We don't know. You know, this could still be a corrective wave. But right now it does look impulsive to the upside. We just got to give it a little more time before we make a firm decision on that. All right. Any other questions or chart requests? That is a great question. I'm not really sure, PM, to be honest with you. Generally, when I short, I'm using, SPY or QQQ puts. So maybe ask Nick C. He might have a better answer for you. I don't usually play like VXS or those types of inverse correlations to the market. MG&I, sure. So MG&I, let's see, 2909. This is not looking that great. We've already lost the 786. So, this wave count looks like it's going to get invalidated. So at that point, I'm going to need to revisit it. But growth has been getting absolutely hammered. So below 2909, I would just be very careful. I think below 2909, we can revisit $24. So right now, I'm hesitant to really touch anything growth-wise in the short term. It just looks like Wall Street wants to beat all of it to death. So doesn't look too good. Any other questions, ladies and gentlemen? All right. Well, thank you very much for being with me this Wednesday afternoon. Let's see how the rest of the week closes, Thursday and Friday. I am optimistic, but we just have to be patient, as I said in the opening of this trade talk. So feel free to reach out to me, DM me in the room or on Twitter with any further questions or chart requests. And I will bid you all adieu. Have a great night, and I will catch you in the markets tomorrow.